So for my final, database project, I did it on the NBA. I intended to mimic kind of an ESPN, NBA.com type database where it's got information on the players, on the teams, on the league, all that sort of stuff. It's got all the information right here. Go to the website and see it. That was my end game, was kind of to mimic that. My entity relationship diagram here kind of all centers around that one in the middle of the screen you see there, roster. It's got the player ID and the team ID. Of course, you'll see all these later when I break down each table in the views, but this is kind of a breakdown. You go to the right and you look at players. It's got the players and the stats all correlated there, as you can kind of see. Looking to the left of the roster, you see the teams, all the team info, as well as league and addresses, kind of more team oriented. What I did was, because of course every team and every player and all the stats would have been far too much for me to manually input. So what I did was I picked 2 teams from each conference and 2 players from each of those teams. You'll see what I'm talking about. My first view, so these are the views of my 7 tables, and then I did an 8th view of a joined one. View 1 is the roster. This connects the players to the teams, which is the most important thing, kind of that connecting piece to make this all go round. The view number 2, we've got the players. So these are my 2 players from each of the 4 teams for 8 total players, as you can see there. I've got the teams. I've got my 4 teams there. You can see the team information, wins, losses, who's the team, what league are they in, and then the league IDs and arena IDs, my apologies, that separate out to those tables. View 4, addresses. This is kind of the arena specific table, so it takes those arenas that we linked to the teams just right there before, gives the address, city, state, zip, name of arena, etc. Views 5 and 6 are both having to do with stats. So as you can see here, first column on this bigger table is just the stat ID record. That's just a counting up. Player ID gives you the player. Stat ID talks to view 6 here, or table 6 if you will, and gives the stat ID. Is it a point? Is it a rebound? Is it an assist? Then we've got the date of the game and then the value. So for instance, that top line, player 1 had 29 of stat ID 1. You can look down points. They had 29 points in the game that was on April 15th, 2021. View 7 here is the leagues, takes the league ID 1 or 2, gives it to Western Conference or Eastern Conference. And then view 8, this was the one that we had to use the join. So I joined the teams table to the addresses table to give the team and where they play, give each team's home court. The tables that I made, so I made 5 of these, were to show different things. So this first one here is to give the league roster. It gives every player and every team that they're on. Well, I guess every player and the team that they're on. So, for instance, Marcus Smart and Tatum, they play on the Boston Celtics. Miles Bridges, Devontae Graham, they play on the Hornets, etc. And you can go all the way down. You could change that order by, if you wanted to order by name, if you wanted to order by team. You could see them split up that way. I have team here, as you can see. Second one is a full standings of the league point leaders. It takes the players and how many points they have from the different tables and ranks them. So you can see, okay, look, Devontae Graham's leading the league in points, followed closely by Tatum. And you got LeBron James and Booker, et cetera, kind of behind him. And so that gives a good rundown of the point leaders. This is very similar. However, it gives the rebound statistic, and instead of giving the whole league, it's only going to give you top 3. Then table 4 here answers the question, who is currently in first place of the Western Conference? So as theoretically the season goes on, you could run this different points, give you a different table of who's in first place at any given time in specific conferences. You can change that to the East as well. Last question that this table answers is, what is each player's home arena? So this joins a few tables here, as you can see, and it gives each player, it gives the home arena that they play in. So if you wanted to see where people call home, you could see that there. So my 2 queries here, first one here is the average points by team. So I did a calculation here to give average points grouping by each team. So the 2 players, well, in my case, the 2 players that are on the Hornets, what are their average points? Celtics, what are their average points, etc. Then I ranked them so you can see what team has players with the highest average points. Second one here, I created a procedure that when executed just gives you the standings. It gives you the team, the winning percentage, again, another calculations, and where they call home. And that's my presentation. That's kind of my database. Thank you a ton. I appreciate it.